Hi, guys. This is Ohio nursing home abuse lawyer Will Eadie here to share with you 5 things nursing homes and you can do to make sure that your loved ones are eating well in a nursing home setting. Diet is so important on so many different levels for older people. One of the main things people miss about this, besides just getting the basic vitamins and nutrition, is that older people in particular need that energy to heal, to recover from illness, or to prevent or heal skin breakdowns. Another thing people don't always realize about food intake is that it is one of the main ways older people can get proper hydration in a nursing home setting. And so we'll often see what appears to be a straight dehydration case, but in fact, when we look closer, there was some failure to provide adequate nutrition that led up to the decline and dehydration. So just a super critical point. I read a great article on Nursing Times that laid out a lot of ideas for nursing homes. It's a little medically focused. I'm going to link to that article, but it got me thinking about some of the things I see, and I wanted to share some of these tips with you guys. Whether you're somebody who has a loved one in a nursing home, you care for people in a nursing home, or if you've experienced some of these issues, to help you understand some of the things that would have been available to help a loved one in a nursing home. So number one are focused meal times with adequate assistance. So, the article talks about having an actual period of time during meals where people stop providing non-critical care and they transition to everyone in the facility focusing on mealtime. That may or may not be appropriate in all settings, but having a dedicated mealtime, and most importantly, having adequate staff, that can be aides, nurses can get involved, particularly dietary staff and aides, having enough people around to provide assistance so people, residents of nursing homes, can take the time and have the focus and the assistance to make sure they're eating well each and every meal. It's a huge problem we see. We see either staff changes and people don't recognize people's needs. They're overworked, they're understaffed, they drop trays, they come pick up trays, and there's no real accountability for helping people. It just leads to disaster for anybody who needs, either because of mental or cognitive limitations or physical limitations, who needs assistance. Number two is there are specialized eating equipment available to help ensure people are eating. So for example, there can be different color, say red color drinkware and serving containers and utensils that are, in a sense, a red flag to staff that this is somebody who needs assistance. So as you're navigating the eating area, you're getting people trays, you're getting people the food, you know, just looking in someone's direction, hey, that's somebody who needs assistance. They're alone. Let me stop by and help them, cue them to continue eating, see if they need something cut up, whatever it may be. That is a way to make it impossible to miss somebody who needs assistance instead of having to memorize everyone's assistance level needs. So I think that's a great idea. Haven't really seen that implemented in US-based nursing homes, at least that we've had occasion to sue or investigate, but I think that's a great idea. I'd love to see more of that. Number three, tracking input and output with proper documentation. So input and output is just what you think it might be, the amount of fluid and food that someone consumes. And then output is obviously if someone's incontinent or for whatever reason you need to monitor their output. This is the number one way I see that is all too often missed to know if there's a problem brewing. So how do you know if Jane usually eats all of her meal, most of her meal, some of her meal? Different residents have different body weights. They may be eating the same portions as somebody who's much larger, who needs more calories. 75% of a meal may be perfect for Jane. Well, what if it's 35% one day? What if that happens 2 meals, 3 meals, 4 meals in a row? The only way that we're going to know in a nursing home setting that that kind of thing is happening, or the only way we're sure to know that, is if we're tracking reliably how much of their meals and how many ounces of fluids they're drinking per meal during snack times, things like that. And then that can be a great red flag that a nutritionist, dietitian type person can spot, that staff can spot and say, we need to address this. Even though we've had different staff members assisting with meals over the course of 2 days, because we've kept track of it, now everyone knows there's an issue, instead of waiting until the next staff member repeats and then that person having to remember, Jane didn't eat a lot the last time I was with her. Such an important tool we need to use more of. Number four is training and understanding the procedures to help encourage people to eat. I know that nurses, aides, dietary staff, they got into this business to help people. We never assume any of them are out to hurt anyone, that anyone is out to provide bad care. That's not why they got into this. But the tools they're given to help may or may not actually meet the needs of the resident. So for example, cognitive limitations, dementia, Alzheimer's, things like that can lead to very specific behaviors with very specific needs. Some people need cueing. So you put food in front of them, they start eating. After a certain amount of time, they just stop. They get distracted, they stop realizing what they're doing, and they just need someone there to say, hey, Susie, pick up the sandwich or pick up the spoon, let's keep going here, and that person will keep eating. Well, guess what happens if that person gets caregivers who aren't familiar with that or haven't been trained on how to provide that kind of assistance? It can be a disaster. One phrase I heard that I thought was great is people who have behavior issues when they're older because of dementia, people who are combative or scared or fearful, they're not your problem, they're having a problem. They need solutions. So getting that extra level of training, and if you are a caregiver, whether you're a family member or a professional, highly recommend you go down to the link in the article in the first comment, because I thought their 20 or so steps to providing good assistance were just phenomenal. Too long to repeat here. But it's a great set, and you can never stop learning, right? It's never, if you're dealing with people with dementia or memory issues who need assistance, it's a great idea to refresh yourself regularly. And then number 5 is talk to, and as much as possible, involve the family in these types of issues. Why do I say that? Well, often we deal with cases where someone transitions from a home setting, maybe family members are visiting regularly or caring for them in their own home or apartment, to assisted living, maybe there's an independent living in there, to a nursing home, and somewhere over the way, the caregivers aren't getting the knowledge that the family has. The family may be trying to give it to them, the family may be available, but they're not able to communicate that. And so we see very sharp drop-offs in intake, in drinking, in nutrition, in hydration levels when you hit caregivers who don't know what the particular needs are of that resident. And often that can be stuff that the family knows very well. So there's that queuing situation I talked about. I had another case where a wonderful woman went in for respite care to a nursing home, where it's actually care, it's a break for the home caregivers. And she declined quickly and died. And what we realized was, here's a woman who seems like she can feed herself. You put the food in front of her, she starts eating, but she had very particular needs. So for example, if she didn't like the temperature of the food, she wouldn't eat it. She couldn't necessarily communicate that to you, but that would be one thing. If she didn't like, there were particular flavors she didn't like, she couldn't necessarily communicate that's why she wasn't eating or what she needed, but the family provided that information to the facility, and then the facility didn't make sure that the actual care providers, the aides who were going to assist her with eating, knew those things. So they thought, some aides thought, hey, this lady can feed herself, I'm going to walk away. And nobody came back to say, oh, has she stopped? Does she need queuing? Sometimes they'd put something down in front of her that was too hot or too cold, and no one had told them, hey, if she's not eating, if she's refusing, if she's got a behavior issue, consider whether the temperature's right. And it may have been as simple as, you know what? We'll call her Betty. Betty, I'm going to put this away so you don't scald yourself a little bit. It's a little hot. I'm going to go down the hall, drop off a couple more trays. I'll be back in 5 minutes, and I'm going to help you eat this food. And it's that level of attention that often the family has that knowledge. And we just have to make sure, if you're the family member, it's being communicated often, frequently. You know how staff turnover can be in these facilities, to all the care providers, to the manager level folks, and then make sure that's being implemented. And then for the facility level caregivers, go ahead and reach out to family, and don't hesitate to do that. They are a great resource. Many of you already know that, but asking them specifically about feeding can be so important. So there you have it. Those are 5 easy ways nursing homes and you can help make sure people are eating in a nursing home. Please check out the article in the comment. Please leave a comment, leave your ideas. It can only help people. And with that, this is Ohio nursing home abuse lawyer Will Eadie, hoping everyone stays healthy in a nursing home.